guys, it's Erica and I'm going to show you how to propagate vining plants. This video is for complete beginners who are completely new to propagation and just want to learn how to do it. Vining plants does include Philidrendon, Pothos, some kinds of Monstera, some Scindapsus. So this is just an overall encompassing video on how to propagate, and it's very easy, so you have no need to worry. It's so easy and very fun to do. So let's get into it. So first of all, propagation is when you cut off a piece of your plant, and that one piece, we grow roots on it and it becomes a whole separate plant from the plant that you started with. So you just cut off a piece of the plant and then you have two plants. There are several different ways to propagate your plant. There's by soil or water, which I will be going over. But for either way you choose to propagate your plant, there are some tools that you need no matter what. And this includes some shears. If you don't have any shears specifically for plants, then regular scissors should be fine. Some alcohol. This one that I have here is 91% isopropyl alcohol, and this is just used to disinfect your shears. And you also want the plant that you're going to be propagating. Once you have all your tools ready, the first thing you want to do is look for the spot on your plant where you want to cut. On every stem of the plant, you will find nodes. So a node is pretty much what the leaf is attached to. So if you want to look for a node, you look for a leaf, and where the leaf is connected to the stem is where the node is located. So you can see here, this is a node, here a leaf is attached, so this is a node, here a leaf is attached, this is a node, and this is a node. You can see here that there is a little root already coming out of this node. Not all nodes will have a root growing out of it already, but a lot of them do have that. And the reason that you want to find a node is because this is where the roots will grow out of. This is the node that I have chosen to cut. Now that I've chosen my node, I need to cut it. And to do so, I need to disinfect my shears, which I will do by spraying them with this isopropyl alcohol. Just making sure it washes over all parts of the shears. Sometimes what I like to do is I fill up a glass with alcohol and I will just leave my shears in there just so I could pull them out whenever I need them, and they are always disinfected. Now I can just let these air dry. What I'm going to do is bring my scissors, my shears, directly beneath the node that I want to cut, and I will make my cut. And I now have the strand of the plant that I am going to propagate. So I'm just going to move this whole plant over since we no longer need it. And here's my plant. If you want a better look at the nodes, you can see them here. Every single one of these nodes is able to grow roots and become a plant in itself. If you want to have a long trailing vine like this, you can definitely keep it like that. If you only wanted to cut off the first two leaves of the plant so that you don't take off too much from your plant, that is 100% okay also. For propagation in water, what you can do is literally, you can just stick this in water, make sure that there are no leaves in the water because they will rot. And just leave this. Make sure that there is a node. The node is underwater. I have also the second node underwater here as well. So both of those will root. And this whole vine will become a plant. But you can also cut in between the nodes like so, and this will become a plant in itself. So I'm just gonna place this plant in the water and that will grow. Here I can leave this long, I can continue only having one leaf per node, and each of those leaves connected to the node will become a plant. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna cut in between here, and I have 2 leaves with their nodes connected on this, and I have 2 leaves on this one as well, plus a new one growing in. When you do this, you want to make sure that you keep track of which side was closest to the soil. So my plant was like this, growing out of the soil, and I cut it like this, and I want to keep in mind that this side is the side that was closest to the soil, because the side that was closest to the soil or closer to the base of the plant is the one that you want to make sure is underwater. I'm just gonna place both nodes in there like so. So I have all the nodes submerged and all the leaves are not inside the water at all. They will rot if they're in the water, so make sure you don't do that. And with this plant, what I'm gonna do is place it in soil. So I have my little pot of soil here, and what I'm gonna do, place the little plant down so that the nodes are facing downwards and they are the one that is in the soil. I'm just gonna cover those up a little bit. Over here also. So this is the 2 separate ways that you can propagate your plant. It does not matter how many nodes you have underwater or in the soil, but you do need to have at least one. And it's better to take more cuttings of a plant, because sometimes a plant just doesn't root, it just doesn't propagate, and that's okay. You can always just try again, because sometimes it just doesn't work out. Also keep in mind that each plant will root at a different pace. Even if you take cuttings from the same exact plant, they will each root at their own separate pace. So this cutting might root faster than these cuttings, and that's perfectly okay. Now, how to care for these nodes that you have in water: make sure you keep it in bright, indirect sunlight so that it can get all the energy from the sun, and put it to work into growing some new roots. A way to grow roots faster, if you want your roots to grow out faster, you can put them in a container that isn't clear and that won't let light in, because roots, I have found, grow faster when they're not in the light, because roots like to grow underground in the dark. But if you like to watch your plants grow, you can of course keep them in a clear container like I have this one. That will also work perfectly fine. So roots will grow from this, you can watch it, and when the roots get long enough, you can put them in soil. Also, do make sure to change the water in your container once a week. If you forget, it's okay, just don't wait too long before you change the water. I forget a lot and the plants still do just fine. For the plants that you keep in soil, water the plant whenever the soil dries. Don't let the soil dry too much, but once the first inch of soil is dry, you can go ahead and water it again. You don't need to completely soak all of the soil, since there's nothing in the bottom half here. You can just make sure the top part gets wet enough so that the plant is stimulated to grow roots. You also want to keep this one in bright and direct light. If you give it a lot of humidity, it will also appreciate that. Now, for the pot that you have in soil, it's all good when it grows roots. It already has a pot to live in, it will be fine. But for the plants that you have inside your water, you are gonna have to eventually move it over to soil. So how do you know when your plant is ready to move over to soil? You can move it at any time that you want. The longer that you wait for the plant to be moved to soil, the more difficult it's going to be for the plant to kind of acclimate to soil. Since these roots were grown in water, they're not going to be used to being in soil too much. I have a whole bunch of trailing plants here that have their root systems and that could be put in soil. This one here is a one leaf cutting, just like we did here. As you can see, the root has grown out of the node, and I can wait for this to grow bigger roots, or I can just pop it into soil right now. It doesn't really matter. It's pretty much what you prefer to do. I also have a Monstera adansonii cutting here that is 2 leaves, and you can see there are roots growing out from the top node, but haven't grown out of the bottom node. But that's okay because they grew out from here. And this one does have a very substantial root system, and this is usually what I would wait for before I pot my plant into soil. Okay, you guys, that is it for today's video. I hope you found it very helpful. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and you can subscribe to my channel for more plant content. And I will see you guys next time. Bye!